Welcome to Career View. This is the podcast where we ask questions students want to know when it comes to pursuing a career path. I'm your host, Nirajit Sharmal, and each episode I will ask questions on behalf of students across the country from secondary schools and universities what they want to know when it comes to pursuing their dream job. For this episode, we'll be asking our top questions that have been submitted by students on our Career View website who are interested in sound production. Today we're joined by 28-year-old sound specialist Mishna Nagda, who specialises in post-production sound for both film and television. And she's essentially responsible for creating the entire soundscape of a production. Now, before realising sound production was her true calling, Mishna considered a number of different career options during her early years of school, even at one point considering mechanical engineering as one. Her story is very interesting, so let's get into it. Okay, Mishna, it is so great to have you here today, and how's everything going?
Oh, thank you for having me, and yep, everything's going good so far, right now anyways.
Excellent, really good to hear. And, before we get into our questions that we ask by students, first thing I want to ask you, what is a sound specialist?
Okay, well, sound specialist can actually mean a whole broad range of things, like in the industry that I work in the film industry that I work in, it's basically everything that you hear on a film. So that's the sound recording, the sound mixing, the sound effects, sound design, which is like putting all these cool like sound samples together and creating this amazing like soundscape or effect, So it's just, sound specialist is just a broad name to include all of these little departments, and it's just in film anyways. And it could also mean you do a bit of music and stuff, but right now I would say for myself, sound specialist is just because I do everything in film audio post-production. But if you were to actually Google film audio, it would be under different departments. So there's like re-recording artist, sound designer, Foley artist, you have dialogue editor. There are all these bunch of different. So sound specialist is just a broad thing to just include all of those departments. Very
broad, to say the least.
Yeah.
And so you can tap into any of those specific areas within the sound specialist kind of.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Like when you go down the line when you want to specialize, you could choose, but you always start off with doing everything.
Everything at first.
At first,
You have to learn everything.
Exactly. You have to. Yeah.
Jumping into our questions, Mishna, that were asked by students, the first question that we have for you is, what does a normal day look like for you? You've touched the fact that you work in the film industry. Mm-hmm. What does that look like?
So right now I'm at a full-time job with a production company. So what that includes is basically kind of your 9-to-5 job, but it's really more flexible than that. You just have to do your like 38-hour week. It depends how you do that. You have these tasks to do and projects to complete. So you have a timeline, and you need to follow through with that, deliver those projects and stuff. So like say my Monday morning, I'd go in, I see what's due, what I have to do, and I reply to emails first thing, then get onto my projects, allocate time to each project, and then try to clock in maybe 8 hours and like clock out when I have to, try to keep discipline in that way.
So how many different projects are you working, let's say, at the same time?
At the same time, usually it's like 2 to 3 projects at the same time. I try not to load myself with more than that, and also my like managers and bosses try not to load me with more than 2 to 3 projects at the same time. It's just not ideal. Like you want to deliver quality
exactly.
Content,
and working in sound, you need to be very attentive to detail and
absolutely.
Really understanding the specifics around that.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting. Next question that we have for you, Mishna, is after high school, what pathways did you consider to become a certified sound specialist?
Well, my pathway is actually quite roller coaster, to be honest. Oh, not a roller coaster, what's the right word? It's like a squiggly line. It was not a straightforward line at all. I initially thought, okay, so in high school, I thought I was going to be a mechanical engineer, and I did subjects according to that, like math and physics and all of that. And I realized that I did not have the capacity to understand those concepts, no matter how hard I tried. And my real passion, at that time I was really into photography and music. And music, I was like, music's just going to be a passion. It's never I'm not going to make a career out of it. It's something I do on the side. So when I finished high school, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? And the only subject I excelled at was or even I was happy about, was photography. So that's when I went to Curtin and I did photography. I did a year of it and I realized I've learned everything in high school and I'm not really getting that drive for it. I kind of almost lost my passion for it when I went into uni to study it further, because there's nothing more to do. You just had to express your art.
Yeah.
And I did an elective, and I know one thing I always wanted to do was I love movies as well. So I'm like, I'll just do an elective in film and see what that's like. And I decided, and I fell in love with film. And then I decided, okay, so next year I'm going to drop photography and I'm going to go into film production, film and TV production. And then as I went through like a year of it, I'm like, I really, really still want to pursue my music. And I want to learn more about like audio and stuff, like especially audio post-production. But that time I was thinking about music at that time. And I love movies, and how can I incorporate both the things together? And I was learning more about film production, and I got into the world of audio post-production. And I'm like, yep, that's it. That's what I want to do.
I mean, from mechanical engineer.
Don't know what I was thinking.
They're two separate worlds. They're two separate worlds. And it just goes to show that you were always passionate about something. And you tried a few things, but then you finally found your way. At what age did you find your way? And then how did you know really specifically at that point that was going to be the reason why you did it?
Okay. It was third year of uni, which was 2015, so I don't know how old I was, 21?
21?
Yep, I had a major, it was called a major project. It was our final project, and I decided to do my role was going to be the sound specialist, sound designer, whatever you want to call it. And as I did that, and that was my first full film project, and I absolutely loved every single part of it, and that's when I decided, 2015, that was the year that I realized I wanted to be a sound. I want to work in film audio, basically.
Fantastic, and that's such an incredible experience where you tried something and then making a very clear decision in terms of moving forward on that. So incredible to hear. Mishna, the next question that we have for yourself is, what subjects do I need to focus in high school to become a sound specialist?
Okay, I would say obviously, like if you have a media media unit, then definitely go there, because you'll learn a little bit about audio. You'll learn more about film and like all other forms of media, but I'm pretty sure you'll learn a bit about audio that way. And if you just want to know if you like that, I think music is secondly. I think probably music is your first, just to know if you like the audio theory, because it's not always about, it's not always about music, but that can give you a little bit of a glimpse into what sound is, just sound. But then again, unfortunately, I don't think high school really have subjects that really focus onto that. So I would say media and music, and then you can say, okay, I like film audio, or I like music, or I want to be a composer or something. If you like audio in general, that's what I would say.
And what can they do, students, outside the classroom? If it's limited within their school, what could they do outside? Is there anything they could join, or is there any kind of outlets for them to explore more into the world of being a sound specialist?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say is there is a lot of films, indie films happening, and they are happy to have volunteers to come on set and just experience or help out as an intern or whatever if you want to be. Say if you want to be in sound, you'd probably be like an assistant boom operator or something, which a boom operator is basically someone who holds the mic up. So you probably want to be taught. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so or even just, be a PA on set, and you just learn a little bit about every other department on film. But
PA, personal assistant.
Personal assistant, sorry. And so that's if you want to go into film audio, as I would say, you should actually do. I didn't have that experience because I didn't know that's what I was going to do, but I've worked with people on set who are students in high school, and now they're set, they've built all that network, and they slowly work on more and more jobs, and this one they really know, I don't like film audio, I like directing, or you could just, or like camera work or something. But I would say if you want to get a bit more experience just to know what it's like, just go on a set and help out and just see what it's like. And that's when you really know if this is the kind of thing you want to do. And then talk to the sound recorders there, talk to the sound mixers there, and then you might get more information they might ask you to come along into their edit session. And then you could probably just see what they're doing, what it's like. That might help it as well. Actually.
Really great insights. And as you said, a lot of opportunities there, and it could be voluntary, but nonetheless, very good exposure. And speaking to people within the industry is obviously going to grow your network as well.
That's the best way. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, so the next question we have for you, Mishna, is what are the most important skills for the role of being a sound specialist?
One of the things is, which is what you say in every interview, but it really matters in this case, is attention to detail. Like, with sound, it's so particular. There's this amazing, there's this phrase that people say that if you have amateur, visual, you can forgive it by saying, oh, it's artistic. But if you have amateur sound, sound doesn't sound good, that's just going to throw you off from your experience of watching a film. So it really has to be perfect to the sense that you don't notice it as much, and that's when you know you've kind of done a good job. So I would say attention to detail is the most important skill, and the second thing is persistence, because it's really going to test your tolerance in the sense of it's not an appreciated job because people don't notice the importance of sound as much. But when you do a good job, that everyone knows, okay, yep, that's because of sound. That's you can notice an amateur film to a professional film, or even just an experience, a good film to a bit of okay-ish film, yeah. Yeah, so I would say attention to detail, persistence, and it's okay if you get knocked down and stuff, but if you really have the passion for it, keep going.
These are really two very important skills, and interestingly enough, sound technician, it's maybe sometimes underappreciated, but the importance of it in terms of a quality film, which is what everyone's end goal is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so heavy. So
absolutely. When you get the job right, it's just the best feeling.
Best feeling. I could imagine. Next question that we have, Mishna, for yourself is, how did you go about applying for jobs after completing your studies? And really, what was the process for you? What did you do?
Okay. Yeah. So initially, I had to, you just had to find work on set. That's the best way to build your network, because going straight into post-production is really difficult. There are companies there that offer internships and stuff, but there's a big demand for it. So to get in, it's really hard. But in Perth, what helped me was there are Facebook groups, and they're all film and TV crew and cast. So if you want an actor, you could go into the cast Facebook group or the crew, and they have listings, and these listings would ask for just any sort of role that they need, basically. And that's how I started applying. And then I got a few jobs. My first one was actually as a PA, personal assistant, and then I made their contacts, and then eventually I got another job from them, and I told them that I want to be into the audio side of film, and then I was a boom operator, and just like that, I've started applying to many jobs, which are all, to be honest, they're volunteer jobs, because the budgets for a lot of indie films are very low, so they can't always afford to pay you. But always ask if it's a possibility to pay you, even for your time, as much as they can help out. Please always ask. Don't always work for free. But yes, initially, first, just to get your experience, just volunteer your time. Any experience is good, and you build your networks that way. And that's basically how I got to where I am. Is all through networks, so all through people I know. Yeah. Because people want to work with people they worked with before. Yeah. And that's when you've done a good job. So you build those relationships from the get-go, and you're going to see you'll succeed if you've had those good relationships to begin with. And that's, unfortunately, Perth, yes, your skills matter, that's obviously, yes, but just applying on Seek for a job I did apply, and I got interviews for Channel 7, Guru Productions and all that, but at the end of the day, it's more they would hire the people they know. Yeah. even though they interview a bunch of people. So.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
you really touched upon the point that networking at the end of the day is what's going to be the deciding factor
Absolutely.
in terms of finding a job. And what you did was go down the road of Facebook groups,
Yeah.
you did the voluntary gigs, you built your network there. So a lot of sacrifice that you need to make very early on
Yeah.
in terms of doing those kind of jobs and really being active within the community.
And that's when the persistence comes in, like where sometimes you'll be like, how much can I work for free, and how far can I go? And there is a level, like there's this point where you're better than that, and you need to call it out, and you say, no, you need to, like, I'm worth more than just my free time. But eventually that first few years you have to be persistent and have that passion to keep going, or else it is easy to lose your track and give up. So
just another question on top of that, Mishna, when you're building your network and you might be doing things voluntary and not getting paid as much, how did you support yourself?
Yeah, I was a waitress for like 5 years. But yeah, always I had a side job, part-time job, casual jobs, just to keep me going, because you have to. And then when you do get a job on set, like that's when that's what it was a good thing about a casual job, I would say initially. If you can afford to be on a casual job, then that's easier. That when you have to be called on set, you can say, no, I'm not available. Part-time and full-time is going to be quite difficult. If you get a full-time, part-time role in the industry you want to work in, well and good, then why are you looking for like jobs and stuff?
Exactly, yeah.
No, but initially I would say start off with a casual job on the side. If you can go more, if you're way better than I am, to be honest.
And you were a waitress. Did you do anything else? Did you?
I worked in a warehouse for 2 years. It was probably the best job of my life, to be honest, because it kept me like physical, it kept me active, and you just I do my work, go in, go out, and I can focus on my own thing. I don't have to bring my work home and stuff. So that was another thing I would say. If you think that maybe find a job where you can leave it at work, sort of a thing, so that you don't have to bring it home and you're not stressed. So you could focus on things that you're really passionate about.
Yeah. Now, the next question that we have for yourself is, does your job pay well?
It does now. So initially, it's very intermittent work, because as a freelance, it's when films come and stuff. So you have your sporadic moments, and then you're relying on your second job to pay the bills and stuff. So it starts up a bit rough, but as you build your way, you can sustain a living on it. Like I at the moment have got a full-time job in it. And I'm comfortable right now. And there's obviously, as you get more experience, you're gonna obviously get a better pay and stuff, and you're always gonna increase your
salary.
Your salary
for your full-time job. And just for those interested in pursuing this career role, what is that kind of salary range looking at when you're starting off, and where you can go to?
Yeah, when you're starting off, it's around 50K, and that's a full-time job. But if you're doing like freelance, intermittent stuff, I would say around, if you calculate all the income that you got, I think it's around 30K. It's around probably, I would say, like $500 per day on set for like a 10-hour day, and a half a day that's like your base. So
base at 500. Okay.
Like for a good enough job. Yeah.
Right. And then how does it scale up? Do you have any insights on how does your salary really scale up over the years? Is it just reflective of experience, obviously?
Absolutely.
But to what extent does it really kind of shoot up, or does it stay stagnant?
So usually it depends what job you do. So like as you get more experience, you've got more under your belt, you're definitely going to get those better jobs. You're not going to go for the not intermediate level, but like the starting entry job sort of thing. So yeah, it does increase as you get, like, say, start working with bigger companies and stuff. You will get paid more significantly, but when you're starting with indie projects, it would be around. It depends on your experience, but I would say depends on their budget most of the time.
Yeah.
But you with experience under your belt, you will get paid more. That's for sure.
Plain and simple. Next question that we have for you, Mishna, is: did you have a backup plan?
I did not. So for a while, I think I was a little bit like I had a bit of faith that I will get somewhere eventually, but then I think it was last year actually, before I got my full-time role, I was planning on quitting like this industry, and I was like, I'm going to try and find something, because I was having trouble finding work for a while, especially with COVID and stuff, and I was at my bottom at one point, and I was actually also happy. That's the one I was also working at the warehouse, and I was really happy working there. I'm like, maybe I'll just keep doing this.
Yeah.
That's the only time when I really thought I needed to figure out something else to do. But this whole time, no, I did not have a backup plan.
The fact that you at one point considered quitting and you found something that you enjoyed at the warehouse, but you still persisted, and something came about really well, and I'm presuming you're very happy where you are today.
Oh, very, very happy. I'm very grateful to my bosses to giving me this opportunity, and I'm glad they have faith in me and to keep me on. So I'm really, really happy right now.
Great to hear on that. Mishna, last question that we have for yourself is quite a personal one, like all of them have been, but this one a bit more. And the question is, how far do you believe you can progress in the role? And what is your aspiration? What is the dream for you one day?
Really, I want to be a sound designer, which is basically you create these immersive soundscapes for like all the films that you see, those massive blockbuster films like Dune and all of those films, and I would love to be part of like a sound team for one of those major films, especially because you really get to stretch out what you can do, your creative process, and you're creating sounds that do not exist in this world at the end of the day.
Wow.
That's what a sound designer does, and that's what I want to do. So, which I still do in my role right now, but it's to a limited extent. So ideally, I want to get to the extent where you're working on those massive films, where you really get to push the boundaries and really get to express your creativity. So my end goal is to be a sound designer, as my main.
As your main thing, and maybe even walking on the red carpet one day with that.
Red carpet, yeah. Hopefully have an Oscar-winning film, maybe.
Why
That'd
not?
be great. Yeah.
Why not? Dream big.
Yeah, obviously that's the goal. Yeah.
Thank you. And that wraps up really all our questions that we had for you today. For our listeners who had more questions for Mishna that did not feature on our list today and would like to connect, just visit our website, careerview.com.au. This is where you'll find Mishna's profile, and you can email her with more questions, and I'm sure she'll be very happy to answer them.
Absolutely.
And with every episode, please don't forget to submit your questions that you want to know, especially to asking young industry professionals who've been there, they've done that, and they've seen it all, like Mishna. One thing that I finally wanted to end off with is you've expressed that the film industry and your journey in becoming a sound specialist has been, to say the least, a roller coaster. And there's a lot of ups, there's a lot of downs. And for our listeners out there, is there any advice you can give them on how to prepare for this journey and how to prepare for this industry?
Okay. This industry has a lot of expectations, and everyone expects you to know your stuff. And so I would say do your homework, do the research, have something to go to and offer them, have that knowledge to go in when you go to a job. You want to show them that you know your work, you know what you do. Another thing I would say is this is a very people-involved job. Like, you're constantly working with all sorts of personalities, and one way you'll really make it in this industry is if you have a good relationship with them. But please just be nice, and you will see that people will start to help you out more, you'll start to learn more, you start to get more opportunities that way, because at the end of the day, someone who has two same sets of skills, you'll always hire the person who has a nicer personality, has a bit of it's just being good to people. At the end of the day, don't you want everyone else to be good to you? So, but in this industry, it really matters, because you're always getting hired for who you are, your personality, and also your skills.
Really appreciate the honesty, Mishna. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.